866-582-9933. That's the number to call today and every day live to get your health questions answered here on Fire Your MD Now. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopathic physician, hoping and helping to drag you, kicking and screaming, if necessary, into the land and the light of a science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. That number, once again, 866-582-9933 and 24/7 on the World Wide Web at fireyourmdnow.com. Fireyourmdnow.com. I'm going to give a little teaser. Tonight we're doing a webinar on blood work. Which blood work to get, which blood work not to get. A little bit of interpretation goes a long way. If you are a subscriber to my online health recovery program, you get to see it. If you're not a subscriber, sorry, Charlie. Got to pay at the door. No ticky, no shirty. $17 a month will give you access to information that will make you smarter, more knowledgeable, more effective than your MD when it comes to the understanding of basic human anatomy and physiology, the genesis of chronic disease, and what you can do to support and promote the health of your body with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Because remember, here's my Boston accent coming out, remember, Skipper, healing is easy. Surgery is difficult. Healing is easy. That number, once again, to call me live on the show, 866-582-9933. And if you're listening to the podcast after the live broadcast, would like some help, that number, 855-347-3696, 855-347-3696. Now, yesterday we were talking about yesterday we were talking about blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. I'd like to get into this a little bit more. There's some stuff that I left out, which is important. You know, if you have a problem with bone density, there are grades of problems, right? You have pre-osteopenia, when your joints and bones start to just bother you a little bit, and then you get osteopenia, right? It's not full-fledged osteoporosis, but you're getting there. The bones are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. It's called osteopenia, and then you actually get full-blown osteoporosis, and then the osteoporosis gets so bad that your skeleton basically crumbles into dust, and you exit the physical plane kicking and screaming in pain, because osteoporosis is not fun. Now, so there are grades of osteoporosis. Well, there are grades of blood sugar metabolism problem. And remember, the sugar is not the enemy here. Unless, of course, you're taking massive amounts of sugar, massive amounts. There is a lot of sugar in the standard American diet, but by and large, the problem that we have with sugar is the body's ability to metabolize the sugar, not so much the sugar itself. You could make the argument either way, but you know, when your body runs out of the raw materials necessary to metabolize sugar, that's a big deal, because even if you consume the normal amount of sugar that your body needs, it's going to be a problem. Your body's going to have a problem importing sugar, which is the gasoline of the body, into the cells of the body. Kind of like if the fuel filter in your engine gets clogged, you step on the gas and the engine stutters because the fuel can't get to the engine. Well, the sugar, which is the fuel of the body, can't get inside the cells when you have type 2 diabetes. But there are grades of trouble with blood sugar metabolism, the same way there are grades of trouble with most physiological processes. The preliminary stages of type 2 diabetes are referred to as Syndrome X, Metabolic Syndrome, Syndrome X, or Metabolic Syndrome. We also collectively refer to these as pre-type 2 diabetes. Now, Syndrome X and Metabolic Syndrome are the same thing. They're the same thing, and they have very interesting symptomology. And this can happen, by the way, remember, this is not genetic. It's got nothing to do with inheritance. It's got nothing to do with age. It's got nothing to do with your astrological sign. It's got everything to do with how many nutrients are in your body and how able your intestinal tract is to absorb the nutrients that you're consuming, either from vitamins and nutritional supplements or from your food. So, the problem here is lack of minerals. And as your body's mineral stores start to get lower and lower and lower, you develop something called metabolic syndrome or syndrome X. And here are the symptoms of metabolic syndrome or syndrome X. You get sleepy after you eat a meal that's high in carbohydrates or high in sugar. So you wash down lunch with a Coke, which isn't a good idea for other reasons that we've talked about. The carbon dioxide that makes the bubbles in Coca-Cola, the Perrier, the champagne, the beer, or anything that's sparkling, the bubbles in it neutralize your stomach acid. But there's also 7 teaspoons, I think, of sugar in one Coca-Cola, so that sugar is too much for your body. Or even if you don't have a Coca-Cola with your lunch, if you're eating a sandwich, which most people do, right? Even they should be eating gluten-free sandwiches, but they don't know it. But the sandwich is a complex carbohydrate. So your body will break that down into sugars. And if there's too much sugar in your blood at any given moment in time, relative to how clogged that fuel filter is, you're going to get sleepy after you eat a meal. And you get sleepy after you eat a meal, or it can even be after you have a candy bar, or after you have a piece of pie, or after you have a bowl of ice cream, or after you have a soda pop that's got tons of sugar in it. And even if you have a glass of orange juice, for goodness sake, it can make you sleepy. It generally tends to happen after meals, when there's a large percentage of complex and or simple carbohydrates in the meal, simple sugars. So, you have a stack of pancakes with maple syrup, and 15 minutes later you're falling asleep. You have a Coca-Cola with lunch, and 15 minutes later you're falling asleep. You have cheesecake with your dinner, and 15 minutes later you're falling asleep. Getting sleepy after you eat a meal that has sugars in it is a primary symptom of metabolic syndrome. Another primary symptom of metabolic syndrome is you wake up in the middle of the night and you are wide awake. You go to sleep for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, you wake up and you're wide awake as if you'd slept all night. That's another primary symptom of your body is losing its ability to metabolize blood sugars. And if you have the perfect trifecta, if you have the third symptom, in addition to the previous 2, you don't even need blood work because it is a drop-dead diagnosis that you have syndrome X or metabolic syndrome. And the third symptom is, survey says, gaining weight around your abdomen. You don't gain weight around your butt, you don't gain weight around your thighs, you don't gain weight in your chest or your arms, you gain weight in your abdomen. Now, if you have all 3 of these symptoms, falling asleep after you eat a meal, waking up in the middle of the night after only a few hours sleep and you are wide awake and you're gaining weight around your abdomen, you've got syndrome X or metabolic syndrome. You might even have full-fledged type 2 diabetes. And the blood work that you need to get in order to dial this in to see if in fact you have type 2 diabetes is blood work called hemoglobin A1C. It's also referred to as glycolated hemoglobin, hemoglobin A1C. And if you purchase a subscription to my online health recovery program, you will be taught the normal healthy levels of hemoglobin A1C. And by the way, the normal healthy levels that holistic physicians regard are very different than the normal healthy levels that allopathic, reductionistic, pharmaceutical centrist MDs regard as being healthy. My healthy levels of blood work are extremely different than your MD's pathological levels of blood work because they are trained only in pathology. Remember, they don't believe your body can fix itself. So the blood work that they interpret is only interpreted through the lens of pathology. But this actually made my head spin right off my shoulders when the first patient I ever had in my career was about 2 years into my career, and they were sitting across from the desk and they told me this. I couldn't believe it. They had gone to an MD for normal annual blood work, and the MD saw that they were just starting to get leukemia, right? They were in the very beginning stages of leukemia. And I said, well, son of a gun, what did they recommend? And they said, well, they just recommended that I go home and wait till it gets bad because it's only when it's bad that they can treat it. My head almost exploded, right? Because MDs are not trained in the pathophysiology of the genesis or the etiology or the origination of the disease. They're not concerned with the cause. They're concerned with how to manage the symptoms. They don't give a crap about the cause because as far as they're concerned, you can't fix it, you can't cure it, you can't heal it, you can't do anything except manage it with symptom-suppressive synthetic pharmaceutical drugs, right? So the MD interprets blood work through a pathological lens. When the MD's blood work numbers are out of range, the organ is already broken. The problem, the game, the house is already on fire. When I interpret and my colleagues interpret blood work, it's not through a pathological lens, it's through a functional lens. It's through a health lens. And it's a much more prudent thing to do because I can tell you when your liver is starting to slip. I can tell you when your blood sugar is starting to slip, when your kidney function is starting to slip. The MDs don't care about that because as far as they're concerned, you can't fix that stuff anyway. So all we're going to do is wait until the numbers get so bad that you need drugs. And that's just a fool's errand. And it is unbelievable to me that we keep going to these people because they have this mindset. So if you're getting sleepy after you eat a meal, and now the extreme of that is narcolepsy, where you just fall asleep randomly throughout the day. You just fall asleep for no reason. Driving the car, fall asleep. Can't keep your eyes open. Fall asleep, just can't keep your eyes open. That's extreme. But there are grades to that where you get a little bit drowsy, you need a siesta after you eat. You wake up in the middle of the night, you're wide awake after only a few hours sleep, or you're gaining weight around your abdomen. These are all signs that your body is in trouble. It is starting to slip in its metabolism of blood sugar, and guess what? It's time for you to fortify yourself with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. So in order to support and promote the health of blood sugar, once you're starting to slip and you're generating the signs of metabolic syndrome or syndrome X, it's also referred to, but some people refer to it as insulin resistance syndrome, or full-fledged type 2 diabetes. What we do to unclog that fuel filter, to make that 5-lane highway go back to a 5-lane highway, to unclog the bottleneck, to support and promote the body's ability to metabolize sugar appropriately, it's one healthy blood sugar pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. I also like to add to that 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, and 1 extra bottle of plant-derived mineral capsules in the capsules. They're called Ultimate Minerals. It's the liquid minerals that have been freeze-dried into little capsules. That's my favorite way to take them. It's easy, effortless. Just swallow the capsule. Life is good. So that's 1 healthy blood sugar pack per 100 pounds of body weight, 1 per month. 1 bottle of selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month, not to exceed 4 bottles a month, and the mineral caps. And when you do that, when you start to take those nutritional supplements and clean your diet up, voila, guess what happens? Life is good. Your body starts metabolizing sugar appropriately. There's one more thing I wanted to pass along here. Now, when you do have full-blown type 2 diabetes, the MD is inclined to give you a prescriptive agent called metformin. The generic name for that is glucophage, right? They give metformin or glucophage in order to help your body metabolize sugars. Well, how does this drug work? Well, remember I said yesterday that the problem here is there's sugar in the blood, your pancreas makes insulin. That's a good thing. Insulin binds to a receptor site on the cell and opens up a sugar door to let the sugar in. It's like someone ringing the front doorbell on your house, and then the kitchen door opens to let in the groceries. Well, metformin increases the number of receptor cells on the cells. So it's like when you take metformin, instead of there being 1 doorbell on the house, now there's 100. There's 100 doorbells on the house now. So you get all of this insulin binding to the cell. All of this insulin binding to the cell. And the reason that this works is because this increases the volumetric pressure on the cell. It will implode the cell wall, in my opinion. damage the cell, allow a little bit of sugar to trickle in. And then this is one of the leading causes, in my opinion, of gangrene, diabetic gangrene, diabetic neuropathy, diabetic macular degeneration, and blindness. And this is what happens with blood sugar. You lose your fingers, lose your feet, lose your hands, lose your toes, lose your arms, lose your legs, and you go blind, right? Over time. It's slow degradation of the body, and it's the insulin that's causing this, in my opinion. It's also remarkably high and remarkably low sugar levels. It's like a gigantic roller coaster of sugar in your body, and it's nonsense. The MDs always try to force the body's hand. They always try to force it. They always try to come in and control it. They're like communists, for goodness sake. What does a communist regime do? It tries to control everything. In kind of communist regime, everything is controlled. The state owns everything. They own the educational system. They own the electrical grid. They own the money. They own the educational system. They tell you everything to do in communist societies. 100% controlled. Well, that's how the MDs think. You have to control the body with prescriptive agents because your body is not smart enough to fix itself. The population is not smart enough to take care of itself. So it must be controlled by the state. The great state, the be-all and end-all, the big poobah, the great and powerful Oz must control everything because the poor little peon citizens don't know any better. Well, your body, oh, goodness gracious, your body, which is a biochemical fiat, a chance amalgamation of biochemicals that originated in some primordial swamp, with no soul force, no soul power, no spiritual existence at all, just a random amalgamation of biochemicals, doesn't know anything about how to fix itself. This is how the MD thinks. And this is how the vast majority of their therapeutics are prescribed. And when you finally get your head inside the head of your medical doctor, you will be horrified. And you will run as fast as you possibly can in the opposite direction when you're suffering from a chronic health condition. For goodness sake. This is why their profession is the leading cause of death in the United States, and this is why, under their watch, Alzheimer's, autism, high blood pressure, obesity, everything's gotten worse. Because they think they're smarter than nature, smarter than God, smarter than your body. Guess what? They're not. Our therapeutics support your body's ability to fix itself, and that's a winning hand all the time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here with another edition of Fire Your MD Now. Check me out on the World Wide Web, please. FireYourMDNow.com. And I said there was a teaser, right? And I didn't tell you what it was because I go off on these tangents. Good tangents, good for you. Nonetheless, here's the teaser. Dr. Glidden's going to have a new website soon. There's going to be Fire Your MD Now bumper stickers, Fire Your MD Now T-shirts, and we're going to run a contest. Once we have the new website up and the T-shirts out, we're going to have you get a couple of T-shirts and go to different hospitals around the country and send us pictures of you with the Fire Your MD Now T-shirt standing inside the hospital. And then we're going to have a bunch of prizes to be determined. You're going to love the prizes. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to post all the pictures on the website. And we are going to flood YouTube and flood the Internet with brave souls standing up for their friends and their family and their schoolmates and their church mates and their community members, helping us to spread the word about the dangers and the inadequacies and the utter failures of conventional medicine. I can't wait. We're going right to the phones now. If Lois is still here. Lois, you are live with Dr. Glidden. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for all your good information.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the parabens in the cream, in the CM cream.
Yeah, parabens are a group of compounds widely used as, antimicrobial preservatives in some drugs. Mostly they're used in cosmetics, and they're also used in underarm deodorants. And parabens are absorbed through the skin and they're also absorbed through the intestinal tract, and they go right into the blood. Now, the problem with parabens is that they bind to estrogen receptor sites in your cells, and when they bind to estrogen receptor sites, they can mimic the presence of estrogen and make the cell do things that it wouldn't normally do, and some parabens have been found to be super concentrated in breast cancer tumors, right? So we think that there might be a relationship between parabens and breast cancer, so not a bad idea to avoid them. However, Lois, here's the deal, okay?
Okay.
Lack of calcium, lack of selenium, lack of vitamin A, B, C, or D will kill you when the presence of parabens might hurt you. Maybe. And it'd have to be quite a bit of it, quite frankly, I think. On a relative scale of things, if you want to be focused on something, if you want to be concerned about something, about how to optimize the health of your body, then you must be concerned and focused on providing your body with all of the essential nutrients that it needs every day. Because $25 million of federally funded research that my colleague Dr. Wallach was engaged with from 1970 to 1982 proved that the majority of chronic illnesses are caused not by parabens, not by pollution, not by mercury, not by lead, not by aluminum, not by crap in the air, not by crap in the water, not by crap in the food, but by an egregious lack of nutrients. If your body doesn't have the 90 essential nutrients that it needs every day, it is only a matter of time until something breaks. And then you go to the doctor. You've got high blood pressure, which is a calcium and a magnesium deficiency most of the time. You have type 2 diabetes, which is a multiple mineral deficiency. You've got fibromyalgia, which is a selenium deficiency. You've got arthritis, which is a multiple mineral deficiency. And the doctor, the MD doctor, throws a drug at it, throws surgery at it. This is why we're in the predicament that we're in, because we're worrying about the wrong stuff. You know, it's a good idea, you know, to keep a weather eye to the storm and to keep apprised of things like GMOs in food and parabens in cosmetics and all of these things. But it is way more important, by a factor of 1,000, to make sure that your body is replete with all 90 essential nutrients that it needs to stay healthy every day. And, you know, this is why my profession exists and actually flourishes in an oppressive political climate like this. This is why the Longevity Company, for goodness sake, has grown 1,100% in the last year in this economy, because when you give your body the stuff that it needs, you feel better. When you finally get the right nutritional supplements into your body, which is one healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month is a great place for everybody to start. One healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. When you give your body the right stuff, man, you start to feel better. Your blood pressure gets better, your mood gets better, your energy gets better, your appetite gets better, your sleep gets better, your menstrual cycle gets better, your hot flushes get better, everything brightens up. And this is a big deal. This is why we are on the bandwagon promoting science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. So, you know, I keep a weather eye to the parabens, and I would try to get cosmetics that are paraben-free. But really, what I would be focused on is getting the healthy start pack into my body every day. Does that make sense, Lois?
Right, and I'm doing that, but I just, when I saw that was on the cream that Dr. Wallach has, I thought, what is this, you know? And so I thought, well, I got to find out.
Yeah, so, you know, then there are preservatives in some of the nutritional supplements. And we've done the research, and the preservatives are necessary in order to keep the stuff from spoiling, and they're in a liquid form because they're easily absorbed that way. And the cost-benefit ratio to the small net negative effects of the preservatives is far outweighed by the fantastic positive results of the medical nutrition. So, you know, all things being equal, it's much more important to get all the nutrients in your body. And now, Lois, I'm going to ask you a question. You ready?
I'm ready.
Have you eliminated the 10 bad foods from your diet?
Mostly, yes.
So that's a no, right? You can't be a little bit pregnant.
Well, I need to get the list. I haven't gotten the list yet, so that's
all right.
what I'm to do.
Okay, good. So let me tell you.
I haven't been to a doctor for over 40 years.
Good girl. Where do you live?
I have had no shots. I don't take any medications.
Excellent.
I learned my lesson when my first husband died.
Yeah, from what did you die from?
Well, benzene hydrocarbon poisoning, supposedly, but it was actually the knife of the doctor, I think, that he bled to death.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So, anyway, I've learned my lesson more than once, but anyway,
okay,
I was just concerned about the parabens.
Well, maybe
in there.
Yeah. It's entirely possible that it's a problem if it's in a strong concentrated dose.
Okay.
But I'm not worried about that as much as I am about getting the proper nutrients into my body. So listen, we'll send you the Good Food Bad list for free, right? Just go to drglidden.com or better yet, fireyourmdnow.com.
Okay.
And opt into my free monthly newsletter. It's right there on the front page of the website, and my system automatically sends you a link to a page on my website that has the Good Food Bad list on it, and also a video that explains why. So check it out. It's free, Lois.
Okay.
It's free. You can't beat free.
Hey, that's for sure.
Hey, thanks for your support, and thanks for calling. Keep up the good work. Terry is up next with a question about pneumonia. Terry, you're live with Dr. Glidden. Welcome aboard.
Yes, sir. Doc, I've been listening to you, and I heard you on Alex Jones' show, and I thank you for doing all of what you're doing.
You're welcome.
Back in 1991, I had a sinus surgery done. I didn't know a darn thing at that time. Well, I do now. Every year since that time, I've had problems breathing and just all kinds of stuff. And late January this year, I developed what I thought was just a typical pneumonia, something I could get over rather quickly. I've had a pneumonia before. I got rid of it myself. I don't go to these stooges with the white coats on. But it turned out to be something different. So for the last 10 months, I've got something that I can't get out of. It's like it's embedded in my sinus cavity area. I haven't worked. I've got extreme fatigue. My head hurts all the time. My chest hurts, and sometimes I'll have a gut problem. And I just want to tell you, I enjoy listening to Dr. Joel Wallach. I used his products for 90 days, but I couldn't get out this infection or whatever that's in this sinus area. I've used a couple of things. He killed it out temporarily. In a liquid form, I put back into the nasal cavity area, and then the stuff came back, and then I've got nothing that's worked. So I've been a healthy guy. I eat organic stuff. I don't drink. I'm off of all the wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and I was told to stay off potatoes, so I'm doing all that.
Okay, good. What's your blood type?
I don't know, sir.
Okay. All right. What's your nationality?
White.
Okay. Are you Irish?
Yeah.
A little bit Irish, a little bit German, a little bit Italian. Do you know?
Yes, all of those. Yes.
Yeah, we all are here in the U.S., right? Okay.
Yes.
So there's a couple things going on here, right? The basic fundamental foundation that we approach everything from is that we want to give the body everything that it needs as kind of a boilerplate foundation nutritional program. Everybody gets that, and everybody cleans their diet up. And then, depending on the focus of your weakness in your body, if you got a weakness in your bone or a weakness in your liver or a weakness in your blood sugar or a weakness in your heart, then we give you a little bit extra of this or a little bit extra of that, and we see how it goes. And then we tweak the program downstream appropriately. And I'm going to tell you that chronic sinus conditions, which would be so bad as to provoke the need for sinus surgery, most of the time are caused by an allergic reaction to a food or foods that you're eating. So until you figure out the food allergy angle, it doesn't matter. Well, the supplementation is going to help, and you're going to feel better from the supplementation. But, if you were punching yourself in the arm, in the same spot in the arm, 10 times a day, your arm would get black and blue. And if you kept punching yourself in the arm, it wouldn't matter how many vitamins you're taking, because that black and blue is never going to go away. You have to stop punching yourself in the arm, right? Well, cleaning up your diet from the 10 bad foods was a gigantic step in the right direction, and taking the foundation boilerplate supplements recommended by Wallach is another giant step in the right direction, and yet the game is still afoot. We've hit a wall. We've come up against it. We need to do something different. So on a relative scale of things, there are probably foods that you are eating which are aggravating this problem. So what I'm going to recommend that you do, it's kind of a radical idea, all right? The Longevity company has something called a 5-day cleanse.
Okay.
I'd like you to purchase the 5-day cleanse and do it. It might be called a 7-day cleanse. It's either the 5-day cleanse or the 7-day cleanse, whatever it is. Just search for it on the product list. It's one or the other. Okay. And do the cleanse for 3 of the days. The recommendation is that you don't eat any food at all. And so this is the goal, right? You're going to kind of wean yourself into the program, wean yourself out of the program, and then in the middle of the program, you're not eating any food at all. You're just taking the supplements and drinking a whole bunch of stuff, right? So that's what I would recommend you do as the next step. And if the problem here is with a food allergy, in that week that you're fasting from normal intake of foods that you might even think are healthy, like tomatoes or carrots, you might be allergic to them, the sinus condition should start to resolve. And there's one more thing I want to tell you to do, and when we're up against the hard break, so stick around with me, and I'll give you the heads up on that when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the luckiest day of your life. You've tuned in to Fire Your MD Now. We are talking with Terry, who's been dealing with it for a long time, sinus issues and chest issues, maybe pneumonia, who knows what. So, Terry, here's what I'd like you to do in addition to the cleanse, all right?
Okay.
Do a Google search for a company called NasoPure, N like Nancy, A, S like Sam, O, Pure, NasoPure. And that company has a plastic bottle. It's a little patented device that they've developed. It's actually pretty ingenious. They use to wash your nasal cavities out with. It's kind of like a modern neti pot, right? Okay. And they've got a little a powder of Epsom salts and magnesium and sodium that you pour in the water, and you rinse. You shake it up in this little plastic container, and then you squirt it in your nose, twice a day. Now, this is an interesting thing to talk about, because there are many cultures around the world where people rinse their nasal cavities the same way that we brush our teeth, right? It's just a normal part of daily hygiene. We're not inclined to do this in the United States. But one of the things that will be of great benefit to anybody who's suffering with chronic sinus conditions, usually there's a component of dehydration present, because the mucous membranes inside the sinus cavities need to be moist. And when your body starts to run out of water because you're not drinking enough water, or you're sweating too much, or you're drinking too much coffee or tea or soda pop, all of which are diuretics and which suck water out of your body, it's easy to get dehydrated. The mucous membranes suffer first. So it's entirely possible that one of the driving causes of this is chronic undiagnosed dehydration and or chronic mucous membrane stimulation from the consumption of foods that you're allergic to. So one of the workarounds for this is, daily rinsing of the nasal cavity. And the easiest way to do this, and I've tried a lot of things in 24 years, is the NasoPure device. And you can buy a month's worth of the stuff, the little powders that you put in the water. It's really great. I met the woman that invented this. It's a good product. It's a good company, and I'm an advocate of it. So get the NasoPure. Start rinsing your nasal cavities every day, and it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to take a look at how much water you're drinking. And, nobody has dialed in the appropriate water dose. Nobody knows what that is. I recommend, if you're over 150 pounds, at least 32 ounces of water a day. And the water that you get in your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, when you mix it up, that counts. The water that you put in your Rebound FX, if you do that, that counts. You need about 32 ounces of water a day in order to dial that in effectively. Now, one more thing that you can do in order to facilitate immune response here is to get the colloidal silver, the longevity colloidal silver, and put it in the little NasoPure bottle after you've rinsed the nasal cavities out, and then squirt the colloidal silver inside the nasal cavities and hold it in there. The presence of colloidal silver anywhere in the body is antimicrobial, and it really helps to kill bugs and microbes that are kind of hanging out in an unhealthy mucous membrane. So the combination of hydration, constant hydration, and the colloidal silver will go a long way towards helping your body to kill the bugs that are causing this to hang fire and just not go away. And you can get the colloidal silver, get a spray bottle, and exhale. Put the spray bottle up to your mouth, take a big inhalation through your mouth, and squirt the colloidal silver in your mouth while you're inhaling through the mouth in order to get the colloidal silver inside your lungs. If you can do that 3, 4, 5 times a day, when you inhale the colloidal silver, it will also go a long way towards killing any bugs or microbes that are hanging out in the lung space. And the last thing that you can do, and everybody overlooks this because it's such common sense, go online and do a Google search for yoga breathing exercises. Yoga breathing exercises. And you can teach yourself at home. You don't need to take a class. When you start to do breathing exercises every day, deep breaths and, different breathing exercises outside in fresh air, believe it or not, that's an overlooked advantage to keeping your lungs and your nasal passages nice and strong. I know it sounds simple, but most of the good things in life are. Ladies and gentlemen, where does the time go? I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopath. I'll be here every weekday from 4 to 5 Central Time. This is FireYourMDNow.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.